In June, Amazon KDP decreased the royalty rate across a ton of books. So hopefully this income report for June is going to provide a ton of information and insights about whether it's still worthwhile to self-publish on Amazon. So if you're new to the channel, I go through all of my orders, my income, my ad expenses, all those kind of things in this income report. And I'll also share what I've been up to and loads of tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. So to get going, this is my journey so far over on Amazon KDP. I've been self-publishing since the beginning of 2020, and as you can see, the first couple of years it was figuring out what I was doing, what was working, and it wasn't until late 2022 that I figured out how to actually sell my books over on Amazon. Before then, there was just a few orders here and there. So it's been pretty much for the last 2.5 years that I've been properly building my self-publishing empire. And as you can see from that graph, I've experienced really good growth over the last couple of years. And then in December, you see those two big peaks. And that's because people like to buy Christmas presents in December. So if you're a self-publisher out there, you can expect bigger peaks in December every single year. Now, onto the royalty rate reduction. Amazon KDP decreased the royalties from 60 to 50% on books priced under $9.99 in US dollars or $7.99 in British pounds. Now, using the calculators and stuff that are out there, there's actually more than you think it might be. Just losing 10% of your royalty doesn't sound too bad, but it doesn't really work like that because Amazon's fees and printing costs and those kind of things stay the same. So you're actually losing just the cost on the royalty part. That could even take some of your books at a lower price down to a zero royalty, right? So it's very important to make sure that you're tweaking your pricing and you're happy with the royalty rate that you're getting. I increased my book prices for the most part. So most of them I increased to that royalty threshold, meaning I was getting that full 60% royalty, but it might slightly overprice a few of my books. I did, however, leave some of my older low content books lower priced because they're not going to sell at $9.99 or $7.99. So maybe some of my journals and notebooks, they don't really sell a ton anyway. I've just left at that lower price point. Now coming on to my monthly goals for June. I wanted to publish 5 books, receive 1,400 book orders and get $2,000 in monthly profit. I've been a little bit lax with my book creation recently, so I'm really happy to say that I hit my 5 book target. I also received 1,400 book orders, but I didn't quite hit $2,000 in monthly profit. And in this video, we're going to come on to why that is. But looking at what I got up to in June, I made 5 books on Amazon. One was an activity book for kids, and I published an English version and a German version, which I'm counting as 2 separate books. I then created an activity book for adults and 2 new colouring books as well. I created a video recently on what type of colouring books sell over on Amazon, and I'm testing this out with 2 new releases. Over on YouTube, I launched 7 videos and 1 short, got 60,000 views, and also made 4 videos on that 40s guy. If you're interested in hearing me waffle on about what it's like turning 40, make sure to subscribe to my That 40s Guy channel. I'll pop a link for it down in the description below. And over on Etsy, I haven't really done anything. I've been setting up my Everbee store, which allows me to sell direct to customers rather than over on Etsy and Amazon. So I've been testing that this month, so I need to get back onto Etsy next month. I thought maybe this month you might want to see an example of my colouring pages that I'm creating. As you might know, I don't really like to share the actual books themselves because it can lead to copycats and extra competition. But here's an example of some of my colouring pages that I've been creating. So I've been creating some nice designs like this with typography and then some additional designs around. Some cool, interesting, quirky visuals like this with busy backgrounds that provide a good amount of detail, but not too much detail. And then some a little bit more epic and inspiring like this one. And what you'll notice about all of these is the style. I've moved away from those highly detailed colouring pages that have shading and those kind of things and gone to a bit more of a minimal line art style. That's because I'm following the marketplace and those bold and easy style colouring books are really, really popular at the moment. So whilst I'm not publishing directly in those niches, I am leaning into what's succeeding with those books. But onto what you want to know, which is how many books did I sell in June? So in June, I sold 1,697 books. However, what you'll notice there is on the 21st and 22nd of June, I had a random spike. And that's because I launched The United World, one of my fiction books, in a free book promotion. So I didn't get any money for those. So if I remove those, it looks like this. So this is a bit more of a realistic look at my orders for June. where I received 1,289 paid orders. And so what's interesting to see on this is after that royalty change on the 10th of June, my orders have stayed pretty consistent. Yes, I've had a few lower days, a few higher days, but compared to May and the beginning of June, orders are pretty consistent across the board. So that's really positive to see so far. Looking at my growth over time, so this is the whole of my journey over on Amazon KDP, you can see that year on year, month on month, it's growing. And whilst May and June are a little bit down on earlier months this year, you can see that they're still better than last year. So the hope is that even though I'm experiencing a little bit of a dip at the moment, that with new books, with marketing and all those kind of things, the graph is going to continue to steadily grow over time. Looking at where I sold my books, the majority of my sales come in the USA and the UK. So I had 670 sales in the US and 455 in the UK. I'm also getting a decent amount in Canada, and I'm trying to grow my German footprint as well with 39 orders over there. Now onto the money. How much did I earn in June? My royalties over on Amazon KDP were $3,240. And that's across 153 books, which includes my paperbacks, my ebooks, my English versions, my German versions, etc. So I've got 153 titles at the moment, and that is my income across the month. Just like the orders, it's pretty steady and there's no drop off after the 10th of June either, which is great to see. From my Brits out there, the royalty is approximately £2,362. Now, whilst I keep that money that comes to me, it doesn't include my expenses and my advertising. So I'm going to go into that now. So this is my ad dashboard across all the countries in US dollars. So in June, I spent $1,204, received 3,233 clicks and 425 orders. As you know, if you watch this channel, I focus quite highly on ACOS to try and bring that down as low as possible, but I am trying to launch new books, which drives that ACOS up a little bit. So an ACOS of just over 25% is not bad. It's probably just a little bit above break even. So I'd like to bring that down in July and August. Breaking down my ad spend by marketplace, in the USA, I spent $415 and got 141 orders. In the UK, $666 to 227 orders. In Canada, $57 for 28 orders. In Australia, just $6 for 7 orders. And in Germany, $59 for 22 orders. So you can see there, if you want to pause it and have a little bit of a deeper dive into this, or my ACOS or my orders and those kind of things. But the ACOS in the USA and the UK is pretty similar. But as you can see from here, I am spending a little bit more in the UK than the US at the moment. My ad results for June, I received 3,223 clicks, spent $1,204, received 425 orders through my ads, which means that I'm getting around an order every 7.6 clicks. So that's better than last month, which was 8.6. That's good to see because it means I've optimized my ads and they're performing a little bit better. However, my average cost per click has gone up because I'm bidding on more expensive keywords. So it's gone up by 7 cents over last month, which as you can see, when you're getting over 3,000 clicks, that adds up. That means that my estimated cost per sale is $2.83, which is up from last month because the cost per click has gone up. And here's an example of a new book launch. So this is a new activity book I launched at the beginning of June, and you can see from 90 clicks I got 14 orders, which is a really good conversion rate. But the ACOS is quite high, and that's because the cost per click was 93 cents on average. So if you're running new ads to your books, this can happen, especially at the beginning of your book, and if it's in a competitive area. Sometimes you need to bid $1 or more to get impressions and to get clicks. And that's what I found with this ad. But now I've got those initial orders over the first month, I'm going to dial this back and try and get that cost per click down to around 80 cents. And if it keeps serving and I keep getting orders, I'll then try and dial it back to about 70 cents. That means that ACOS is going to go down to 45, 40, 35%. And I'm going to be a lot happier with this ad in order to leave it on over the long term. Now, if that doesn't happen and I try and reduce it down, it doesn't work, I might just keep it going for another month to get those initial orders, and then I'll probably turn it off. One thing to note on this is the click to audio ratio is better than my average, so 6.4 clicks to an order. And that to me shows that this is a good product and people are willing to buy it at the purchase price. So this is listed for $9.99 on the US marketplace. Now onto my profit for June. My income was $3,241. Ad spend was $1,204. My expenses was $142, which has gone up from last month. And that includes $36 for Midjourney, $28 for ChatGPT, which is a new premium offering I'm trying, and $78 for my Adobe package. Unfortunately, there's no way really around that $78 outgoing, which is quite high, but I do utilize the whole of the Adobe suite and I use it for things like my video editing as well. That means that my take-home profit for the month of June is $1,895. That's approximately £1,319. So it's not quite at the level I want to be at, but I do have a large ad spend going out and my expenses are increasing. And as always on my Amazon KDP journey, I'm focusing on the medium and long term. I'm trying to get my books listed for keywords organically so that I sell more in the Q4 period. So whilst I've got a high ad spend here, hopefully over time, over the next few years, that's going to come back to me with organic sales. So that's my strategy at the moment, but I might try and dial my ad spend back a little bit in July and August, maybe around to the $1,000 mark. That might help me get to that $2,000 in monthly profit. Some insights from June. My royalty per book increased on average, and that's because I increased some of my book prices up to that $9.99 threshold. So in April, for example, my average royalty per book was $2.22, and in June it's $2.50. So that means I'm making on average an extra 28 cents for every sale that I make. So maybe the royalty increase isn't a bad thing. It means with higher royalties, if I can keep my orders the same, I'm going to make more money. I've not really seen a reduction in orders yet, but I think it's too early to see. So make sure to stay tuned for July and August and we'll see what happens. However, a little bit of a negative now. I have been spending a lot on my advertising due to some new releases. I made 5 new books this month and I'm advertising all of them pretty heavily. So I've probably spent a few $100s on just those 5 books this month. They've all got slightly higher cost per clicks and they're going to have higher ACOS because they're new books and I'm being a bit aggressive with the targeting. And so hopefully I can dial that a little bit back in July and August. But the idea is I'm building towards Q4 where hopefully that November and December peak is going to be bigger than ever. So I don't mind spending a little bit more on ads now in hope that I'm going to receive that back in December. Wrapping up June, ads can be expensive, but they are important to help rank your books organically. So for example, 67% of my sales are organic. So let's say I turned off all of my ads to my book. My orders and my royalties would go down, but I'd probably still get about 67% of my income at the moment, and I wouldn't then be spending anything on ads. However, I don't really recommend that. I still think it's important to drive additional sales with ads because that helps the Amazon algorithm, it helps your books rank higher, and it improves the visibility of your books. As mentioned, I've not noticed any changes yet with the royalty increase, but I am going to be monitoring that in July. And especially with the royalty increase and wanting to price your books a little bit higher, it's more important than ever to focus on high quality books. If you've not got the best book out there, try to be unique. That's another way to stand out from the competition. And then, as I've mentioned before, try and focus on high giftability books. They're going to be ones that can really sell well in December. Setting my goals for July, I did find publishing 5 books this month quite hard, so I'm dialing that back a little bit and I'm going to aim to create 4 high quality books. I want to hit 1,300 book orders and then hit that $2,000 in monthly profit. So that's my Amazon KDP journey in June. Let us know how you're getting on down below in the comments. Also, if you've got any questions about Amazon KDP, you can ask me down below. Or if you want a little bit more in-depth conversation, you can book a consultation with me on my website. Just go to publishwithme.com/consultation and you'll see these 2 options. So you can either book a 35-minute or 1-hour consultation with me where we can jump on a video call and I can answer any questions that you have about self-publishing. When you proceed to book through, you'll be taken to a calendar which has all of my free slots available. So if that's something that's of interest to you, head on over there and I look forward to talking to you. All right, that's it for June. Another month of self-publishing on Amazon KDP. Hopefully the orders and the income's going to increase as we get towards that Q4 period. But if I learn any new tips and tricks, if I find any hot new niches, don't worry, you're going to be the first to know. That's it for this one. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.